Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Yay! Hey, welcome in. It's good to have you on the podcast. Appreciate you listening. We're episode, I have to check my book here. I keep track of these. It's 110 already. How about that? 110. You know, I have a radio show that we call the Nashville Connection, by the way. And, you know, if you want to find out more about that and more about my music, can I just plug my website? Why not? I never get to do that. It's the Dave Connection. And you go, wow, Dave, it's the Songwriter Connection, the Nashville Connection radio show. And now the Dave Connection, easy to find. And there you go. It shows you where I'm playing and what's going on. So check it out if you will. You know what? I'll tell you what. We had a story last week, and we're taping this or recording this in early May. We had a story on last week's Nashville Connection about Jon Pardi being invited into the Grand Ole Opry. And what it said in the story, which we found it very hard to believe, was that Jon Pardi is the first native of California to be inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. And I thought, well, there has to be. You think about all those great Bakersfield artists, right? But you know what? Merle Haggard's from Oklahoma, and Buck Owens was from Texas. So really, you know, upon further research, we find out, yeah, Jon Pardi's going to be the first Californian. Our guest today may be the second. We'll tell you about that in a little bit. But I want to talk a little bit about the Bakersfield sound. And it's very interesting how that grew and how it started. And I guess it would start all the way back in the 30s during the Dust Bowl. The Dust Bowl, this terrible drought that hit the Midwest, southern Midwest, western states. And it was just that, a dust blowing up everywhere. And a lot of people migrated out further west to get away from it. A lot settling in the Bakersfield, California area. You had your Okies, which wasn't really, that was kind of a derogatory term, you know. There was like hillbilly, you know, for the people up north. So Okies, and of course Merle was proud to be an Okie from Muskogee, and lots of other people, but they brought their music with them. And when you're bringing music in, you also combine with what's going on, and they combined a few styles like honky-tonk, a little rock and roll with electronic music instruments, you know, which, you know, back then was kind of different and rare to country music especially. And you have to understand what was going on in Nashville at the time, too. It was that Nashville sound. It was becoming very homogenized and very more poppy, okay? So the Bakersfield sound was really, in a way to look at it, as kind of the first outlaw movement in country music. They were bringing a whole new and different sound, and it took the country by storm. I mention all this because our guest today grew up in Bakersfield, and I want you to welcome Ash Taylor. Good to have you, Ash.
Hey, thank you for having me.
And you brought your better half with you, too.
I sure did. My husband, Chris, is sitting here.
Chris.
I don't know if I'm the better half.
She's the better three-quarter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's definitely not true. Definitely not.
I will say this. Chris is one heck of a guitar player.
Yes, he is.
He is one of the best in town. And you teach a little bit, don't you?
I do. I love teaching guitar. I teach online and in person because it's a passion. And
Me too.
I feel like everybody should be given the opportunity to learn to do it.
I don't have a passion for teaching guitar, for learning. So will you sign me up to play?
Yes.
And learn how to play lead better.
That's right.
Oh, he can help with that for sure.
I bet he can.
Yeah.
I bet he can. I've seen him play. He's pretty awesome. I'm glad he's here to kind of back you up a little bit.
Oh, same.
We're definitely going to do some live music around the dining room table.
I love it.
Actually, let's talk about you. I was reading about you, and you had your debut album was called Bakersfield.
It sure was.
How
yeah.
about that?
I know.
That was BC before COVID, right? Like
it was. I released that in January of 2019. So
were you here in Nashville then, or
I
you
sure
were?
was. Yeah.
When did you move here?
I moved here in 2016.
16.
Yep, I moved here in 2016.
When did you meet that guy?
I met him in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, it was a good year.
How
it was
about
a really
that?
good year.
Really good year.
Got married in 2021. So next week we actually celebrate, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks from today, we celebrate our 2-year wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary, you guys.
Thank you.
We're celebrating here on the pod.
Yes,
today.
exactly.
That's right.
Happy anniversary. Anyway, I was doing some interesting reading about you. You also were honored by the Bakersfield Country Music Association awards for achievements and contributions to the Bakersfield sound.
I was.
That must have been an honor.
Yeah, I cried. I'm not going to lie. I don't get like choked up and too emotional sometimes. I'm pretty like, I like to think I'm in control, but they gave that to me and I bawled like a baby.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah. Oh, it choked me up.
God.
But I loved, by the way, the intro you gave explaining the story of I was literally sitting here listening. I'm like, he gets it. Like, it's so great. Because it's such a great story and so interesting. But
and you grew up around it.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Well, to me, that's home, and it's just kind of knowledge and just whatever. But a lot of people don't know, and so I like the fact that we're sharing kind of my heritage with folks and kind of explaining to them like what this is and why this is so special to me and to other people, and it's exciting. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your hometown, then.
Well,
are there still lots of honky tonks and things? And that sound is still prevalent, right?
There's a couple. I think there will always be a couple. But, when I was growing up there, I never got to go see him, unfortunately, because I was so young. He passed away when I was about 10. But Buck Owens has his place, the Crystal Palace, and that is the honky tonk.
The honky tonk.
Oh, it is the honky tonk. But they have all kinds of bands come and play. Buck used to play there every single weekend.
Dwight, too. Dwight Yoakam.
Would play there. I mean, they still have people playing there all the time. But, it's a honky tonk. It's a dance hall. It's actually a whole museum.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's fascinating. A fact that I don't think a lot of people realize is Garth Brooks actually asked Trisha Yearwood to marry him there at Buck Owens Crystal Palace.
Wow, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
They gave him a statue. There's a big statue of Garth right as you enter.
No kidding.
And Garth was very clear. He said, go ahead and when you make the statue, put a wedding ring on my finger. And so it kind of forced him when they unveiled it. It's like, I got to drop to a knee and ask the question. So yeah, he proposed to Trisha Yearwood there.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a lot of musical history and there's a lot of different things in there. I think when I say that I'm from California, though, I think people think like, beaches and LA and all that. And I'm like, no. My hometown is a farm town in Central California, and it if you eat raisins, you go to the store, you turn the box around.
California raisins?
Bakersfield, California.
There you go.
Carrots. I mean, it's agriculture. It's oil fields. It's a lot of blue collar, hardworking people.
And a lot of those during the Dust Bowl, they came out to do sharecropping.
Yes.
And
it's the area for it. It's the area for it. But I mean, most of my friends, like growing up, they all lived on farms. And that's the family business. That's what they do.
Sure.
But no, I loved growing up in Bakersfield, and there's definitely a history. And I've always said too, I think because we are a people that kind of came from the Dust Bowl, and you look at our heritage and ancestry, and then just being there in Bakersfield. We have a lot of attitude out there. Yeah, we really do. Well, we're... And
you have none, right?
No, not me. I'm a saint.
Wait to hear some of her music.
Yeah,
we're going to play some.
Yeah, I was going to say, they'll hear about first verse and chorus and go, oh, yeah. Also, we're saying I'm not sassy or anything. My husband's sitting here probably rolling his eyes like, what? I don't know.
He wasn't. He's shaking his head.
No. But I think what it is we are a bunch of hard-working blue-collar folks, and we work for what we have, and it's just kind of like this no-nonsense attitude. I don't know what it is, but I've heard multiple people say that. Like, there was a guy I was talking to the other day, and we just, kind of met. We were sitting there talking in a music shop, and I said, where are you from? I said, because you just remind me of someone I went to high school with or whatever. And he goes, I'm from this farm town out in California. You probably never heard of it. It's called Bakersfield. And I said, no way. But it was his attitude. I was like, we're friends. That's
you knew your friends.
Yeah. But it's a great place to, I guess, grow up.
It has always fascinated me how music from area to area has evolved and takes on its own sound. Like, I came from Cleveland, Ohio. I grew up in Cleveland. Okay, and a lot of people call that the rock and roll capital of the world because the Rock Hall of Fame is there. But I think it could have easily been Memphis, right?
Sure.
But the thing is, if you take a look at those sounds that came out of, let's use Cleveland for an example, the term rock and roll was coined there because prior to rock and roll it was race music, right? It was heavy rhythm and blues. But also in Cleveland, there were a lot of today Rust Belt area, right, as they say. But there were a lot of factories, and a lot of people from the South brought that music up north to work in the factories.
Yeah.
From West Virginia, from Appalachia, and so it affected the music too, and the sound that you heard coming out of Cleveland.
Wow.
Memphis had its own sound,
right?
And they always say you can take the boy out of Memphis, but you can't take the Memphis out of the boy.
Yeah.
They have their own unique style, and it's the same with Bakersfield, I imagine, right? you grew up around this different sound.
Style.
It has to affect your style.
Yeah. It's a different sound. It's a different style. It's an attitude. It's a way of life. And it's so funny though, because I never realized what I had.
No.
Until I moved out here. Because when I moved out here, I sold everything I owned, and I got on a plane. I slept in my car. I slept on people's couch. Oh yeah, wow. I had nothing, but I wanted to write songs so bad, and I just love country music so much. And some say I'm stupid, and maybe I am, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. Wow. But when I moved out here,
so happy.
Oh, I'm very happy.
Yes,
I there's nothing I love more than writing songs and getting to be an artist. I can
see that passion in you, and I respect that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I just love music because I know what it did for me, and so I hope it does that for someone else. And I think sometimes it's easy to get convoluted with all the different things, but at the end of the day, just write a great song and have a good time.
Oh, I agree with that, 100%.
That's just what it's about. But
100%.
When I moved out here, I got on a plane, sold everything. I'd never even seen Nashville before. Wow. And my very first day here, I literally got off the plane and we went straight to the Country Music Hall of Fame Museum here in downtown. Oh, yeah, man. Well, so my dream job when I was a kid, I am like a country music trivia nut.
Are you?
Oh, my gosh, yes. I have studied. I got this. So I watched an interview when I was younger with Trisha Yearwood saying that when she moved out here, was the tour guide at the Hall of Fame. And so I said, I want that job. And I didn't have a job when I got off the plane. So I kind of went there hoping to get hired. But the lady at the desk said, oh yeah, we don't give like guided tours anymore. It's all self-guided. And I was like, darn it.
Pretty much is.
Yeah, but I walked into the museum
should have went over
that day.
to the Ryman.
I should.
That's what I did for a couple years. I loved it. Simply because of that history. Yeah. And I felt the same way. I was a country DJ for a lot of years. And so I really immersed myself into that history.
Yes.
And I loved working there.
Oh my gosh, I bet that was a great job.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you see a bunch of shows and all for free?
Well, not really, but you got a discount. And I did get to see a lot of shows.
Okay, well, all right.
Sometimes working at night, you'd see shows and stuff.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Give tours out, especially when the Opry comes. Once a year, the Opry comes to the Ryman. It's Opry at the Ryman.
Yeah.
It's usually in January in there.
Yeah.
December, January. And so many times I would work that show and give tours afterwards.
How cool.
And so we'd stay and see the show, and that was kind of cool.
That's super cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, they didn't hire me because they said that wasn't a job anymore. But
Their loss.
Their loss. But you know what? I bought tickets and I walked into the museum and I was very culture shocked by Nashville. I think.
Why?
I've never seen so many trees before. I mean, like in Bakersfield, it's nothing but dry dirt, dry land.
Really?
And there's no trees. There are no trees. There's nothing. Chris has driven through it. He can attest that there is nothing there.
And where are you from, Chris?
I'm from a little tiny town of 800 people in southeast Indiana in the middle of the cornfields. Closest thing that you would ever know near it is like Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where we came from.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of close.
Yeah. Okay.
But I walked in the museum that day after buying a ticket and was just kind of awestruck by Nashville and everything that I was seeing. And, just this young kid fresh off a plane. I have no idea what I'm doing. Wow. And I walk in the museum and I look up and there is this huge sign. I mean, you could not miss it. And it said, now exhibiting the Bakersfield Sound.
Yes. I remember touring during that. Yes.
And so I was like, Bakersfield? Well, okay. And I walked in the doors and I took that tour and I was just so beaming with pride, man.
Oh, I'll bet.
And I knew, a lot of what they said, but to move to a place like Nashville that everyone just holds so high as Music City, and you're seeing this little farm town on display, it was incredible. Wow. It was incredible. So that night, we were talking about my first EP that came out in 2019. That night is Bakersfield, right? Is when I sat down on a bunch of boxes with this cheap little $200 guitar I bought because I had nothing, and I just sat down and that's when I wrote the title track of what would be that record years later. But because I was like, well, this is my life and my story. I'm just gonna put it in a song, and I'm proud.
I'm gonna throw this out here. That would be a great song to do right now, since we've been talking about Bakersfield.
I mean, yeah.
Is that possible?
I think we can make that happen. Give me just a minute here.
That's no problem. You can have all the time you want.
Oh, well, thanks, my friend.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Ash Taylor from Bakersfield, now Nashville, is our guest with her husband, Chris DeLisle. And this is Bakersfield.
Bakersfield. I come from a dusty little town, straight off Highway 99. Nothing but oil fields and good people, just trying to get by. And we'd go out after midnight, racing down Rosedale Drive. Watch the rodeo, listen to the radio, soaking up a real good life. And we are who we are, and we work damn hard, just trying to make a living. But on Saturday night, we're at the Crystal Palace, rocking to Buck and Merle. Yeah, we're loud and we're proud, and we have our own sound. We're so much more than a small town. Yeah, something about the streets make you never wanna leave. It will forever be home to me, Bakersfield. And I would hang out at the In-N-Out, oh, with all of my friends. Sunday was church and Monday was school, then we started all over again. It was in those bars I first played guitar and learned who I am. It may not look like much, but there's something in that dust that pulls you in. And we are who we are, and we work damn hard, just trying to make a living. But on Saturday night, we're at the Crystal Palace, rocking to Buck and Merle. Yeah, we're loud and we're proud, and we have our own sound. We're so much more than a small town. Yeah, something about these streets make you never wanna leave. It will forever be home to me, Bakersfield. Yeah, Bakersfield. And we are who we are, and we work damn hard, just trying to make a living. But on Saturday night, we're at the Crystal Palace, rocking to Buck and Merle. Yeah, we're loud and we're proud, and we have our own sound. We're so much more than a small town. Yeah, something about these streets make you never wanna leave. It will forever be home to me, Bakersfield. Yeah, Bakersfield. And I come from a dusty little town, straight off Highway 99.
Ash Taylor, Songwriter Connection Podcast. Thanks for the download and the listen. I guess it's true you can take the girl out of Bakersfield, but you can't take Bakersfield out of the girl.
I guess not. I guess not.
It's a great song.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I mean, I was so new when I was writing all those songs, and like I said, that was the first. I wrote that my first day here in Nashville.
First day in Nashville.
I never done a co-write. I didn't know what that was yet.
Do you do that now, though? Because that seems to be a Nashville
Oh
thing.
yeah, absolutely. I mean. Once I knew what it was, after about a week or two here, I was
different
like,
concept,
oh!
wasn't it? Yeah.
I was like, well, let's write, and then I made friends with everyone and tried to go around and write a bunch of songs, and some were terrible, some were pretty good. And
that's how
just
it goes.
how it goes.
Some of them are terrible.
Yeah.
You got to get through the terrible ones to get to the good ones.
Yes. You know what I love, though, is sometimes you can write a song with someone, and I'm sure maybe you've experienced this being a writer yourself. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can write a song, especially when you're just kind of starting out in green, with someone else, though, and it's almost like you bond over the fact that you're like, yeah, that wasn't that great, was it? Like you still have that community support there where it's like, yeah,
absolutely.
We suffer together.
But then there are times when you hit it off. And you get an idea, and you're like almost reading each other's minds.
Oh, absolutely.
It just flies out, and you just know you got something special.
Oh my gosh, and
love that feeling. I will go through
incredible.
10 writes like you just said, just to get to that one.
And that's what you do. I mean, that's just part of it. I think. If I can brag on my husband for a second.
Yeah, please do.
So,
yes, please.
Please. Chris is like, I'm listening.
Bring it on.
I'm listening. Well, you're talking about just like connecting with people and all that, and clearly there's a lot of people that I write with. I do write a lot of songs by myself.
Do you still?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I just get inspired and I write, and especially if I'm writing for myself as an artist, I kind of know what I want to say, and so it's pretty forward. I will say, though, when I first met my wonderful husband, who's sitting here next to me, amazing guitar player. You're very right. I've said for years he's the best in town. So when we started to date, after a while, he was like, why don't I play guitar for you? And I said, no. I said no. Because I was like, this is business and this is personal, and we don't mix those. I was very adamant about that. And
but do you write together?
Oh, now we do. Now we do. But so I say this, and this was, of course, years ago, and we went to this like little dive bar, and we were playing this kind of low pressure show one night. And it ended up just being him and I on stage. And he hadn't heard a lot of the songs that I was going to be playing that night. And he gets up on stage, and I was like, if you want to play, along, you can. Put some lead stuff on. So, man, we get into it, and I did not even finish the first verse, I think it was. And it was like lightning. Wow. It was like, what is that? What is that? So we got off stage and kind of looked at each other, and we talked about it. And it was like, did you feel that? Did you feel that? So now...
energy. Match that energy, didn't you?
Absolutely. Well, we've, clearly feel that as like a married couple, you know what I mean? Especially the longer we're together and, your relationship and all grows. But I think musically the biggest connection I've ever had to someone is with this guy right here.
Wow, look at that.
I earned my way in.
You've earned your way in. No, but it was just like lightning.
So it wasn't so much as you're not going to play for me, you can play with me.
Yes.
But not for me.
Yeah. Well, now it's a teamwork. And
you play pretty well yourself.
Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah. But, I think it definitely helps to have someone like him, though, because I'm pushing always to be better. Because, I've always said if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
I like that.
Yeah. So being next to this handsome guy over here shredding away, I'm like, I'm going to catch up to you. I'm going to get you one day. But no, I appreciate it. And now it's
Does he give you free lessons?
Yeah, but what's really funny though is after a while when we first started dating,
you get the family discount.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I asked him. We had a joke just the other night. Clearly we're married. We have a joint bank account. We do all this music and life and everything together. Right. And he went and came with me, and we played a show. And I said, "Hey, thanks for playing guitar for me. Why don't I buy you dinner out of our joint bank account?"
It's on me.
It's on me. I got this, buddy. But I'm like, you're not going to be paid, but I'll buy you dinner from our joint account.
Why not?
Yeah.
I like it.
That's right.
I think you ought to buy her dinner tonight.
Well, I probably am actually going to cook her dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Is he a cook?
He's an amazing cook too. Yeah. Amazing cook.
What's your specialty?
Oh man. Well, actually, so there's two different things I love to do.
Yeah.
If I'm cooking just regular stuff, Cajun food.
Cajun, really?
Because it uses so many French techniques, but combines it with a little bit of redneck, which I'm all about.
DeLisle, is that a French name?
Yes, DeLisle is a French name. In fact, I've always said it's funny. I always say songwriting is in my blood because my ancestor actually wrote the national anthem of France way, 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 way back.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's in the blood.
Yeah, the DeLisle.
What was it called? Marcia. What was it like? I used to be able to sing that because I took French lessons.
Oh, really? I was full on ready for you just to break down into it in just a second. I was like, wow, this is great.
Yes.
My younger years, I could have.
Years.
That's right. But yeah, so I've got the French area of that whole thing, and so I love like the classic cooking technique and all that kind of stuff. But I also currently
I do la toast.
Okay. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
fromage sometimes.
Oh, man.
There's nothing wrong with that. But a more recent thing is I started a YouTube cooking channel, just a little fun thing on the side, and I do.
Wow, we'll check that out.
I do zero carb carnivore recipes for people doing the low carb thing because I actually I eat carnivore and do the low carb thing. So I take classic cooking technique and put it with carnivore ingredients, and I love just inventing.
So I got to lay off the carbs.
Yeah, it's a blast to just come up with that stuff. So and I have a person to taste test for me constantly.
That's me. Yep.
We had a guest on the show, and you can look this show up. Earlier episode, H. Jack Williams, who's an amazing songwriter, and he's really good friends with Kevin Costner. In fact, he was in the Kevin Costner movie recently.
Oh, wow.
He's written songs for Yellowstone, but he worked with The Who and Lynyrd Skynyrd. The pedigree is absolutely amazing. But he started as a chef. He was a chef.
Yeah.
And he talked about how how creative you are as a songwriter and as a cook as well.
Yes.
And he drew some very interesting correlations.
Yes.
Yes.
And one of the things that he said that I'll never forget, I'll always carry this with me, he said the secret to being a great cook is to taste as you go.
Oh, interesting.
And isn't it kind of the same with music? As you're writing, you kind of, that feels pretty good. Let's try this, though. Oh, that tastes a little better. Let's,
Yeah.
So,
I would also,
I just thought it was cool.
I would also say as a lead guitar player, I definitely have to think that way because like lead parts, especially with Ash's music, when, the thing that I'm doing with her is I look at her stuff like a canvas that has empty spots because you're supposed to have empty spots.
Interesting.
And so I'm looking at like, how do you season and how do you garnish that? Because if you overdo something, it ruins a dish. And if you overdo a guitar part, it ruins a song.
Yeah.
Even when I write songs by myself, like, we were just talking about, I write a lot by myself. I usually will go write the song and then I come to him and I will sit and I will play it, just me and, my acoustic, and just kind of sing it and play it for him. And he immediately will grab a guitar and he comes up with all those parts. And I
think a little signature lick or something for you.
A signature lick, but I also think it creates layers. And kind of going back to like the Bakersfield thing that we were talking about, if you study Buck Owens, Buck Owens was a phenomenal guitar player. I mean, he played in sessions and stuff way before he was even famous.
Right.
But if you study him as an artist, he had a guy named Don Rich.
Don Rich, that's
absolutely.
Right.
And so Don Rich, though, I mean, Buck Owens has said over and over and over again, that really gave him his sound. Yeah. So I always like to, when I describe it to people, and I think why it works so well with Chris and I is, I'm essentially a modern day female Buck Owens. And then that's my Don Rich. Yeah.
How about that?
But that's how I kind of just view us working. It's like, it may be my name and I may write the songs, and, I enjoy getting to go out and be an artist, and Chris is, that's not really his thing, but he gets to show up with a guitar, and what he does just works.
He's a pretty good writer and singer himself.
Oh my God, he's incredible. Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
I think it was one of those, she said we kind of played together for the first time and it just happened. It was kind of one of those situations that seemed ordained, in sort of a destiny sort of a way, because I actually, before I knew Ash, I didn't know anything about the Bakersfield sound.
Really?
Like, I'd heard the name. I'd heard the name Buck Owens, but I probably had heard the name Don Rich, but I didn't know anything about them. I actually grew up on classic rock, 60s and 70s rock, and I was like a rock and then an 80s hair metal and like a shred guy. Like, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I got into country after I moved to Nashville because I had come here for college. And when she and I started playing, I had sort of taken that rock and roll thing and I had moved it over into the country sort of element. And my favorite guitar player of all time is a guy named Johnny Highland. He's a friend of mine now, and he sort of bridges that gap between country and rock and southern rock and pulls that all together, and he's just one of the best players I've ever seen in my life, and one of the nicest people too. And so I really started studying what he did, and I took all that rock stuff that I used to do and I put it together with this concept of the country stuff, and then I started putting it over her music, and it worked. And, she started teaching me about like the Bakersfield thing and what Buck Owens did and why she writes the way she does. And then I started looking at what Don Rich was doing. And
so you studied him for a while?
I studied some of his licks, and I realized that Don Rich was a big influence on Johnny Highland, amongst many of the other Telecaster players that he loves.
Wow.
And then I started noticing what I was doing in a sort of a modern take on it was a very similar thing to what Don Rich was doing with Buck Owens' music. And so they incorporated rock elements into what they were doing, which is why the Bakersfield sound was so in your face.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize it, but I sort of accidentally stumbled into being a modern day version of like a Don Rich type, and then I found the Buck Owens to put it over when I met my wife.
That's awesome.
It just kind of, we fell into it, and then eventually we realized, well, this is what we're doing, and this is why this works. And well, isn't this great?
Isn't that great?
Isn't it great? We may know what we're doing.
You're developing
maybe
the Ash sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun, yeah.
And I wanted to say, you've got a new EP that just came out.
I do.
Here in May, and I want to talk about it, maybe play a song from that. But first, I want to take a break. Is that okay?
Yes.
We'll take a break, and we'll come back. More Ash and Chris on the Songwriter Connection.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Ash Taylor is our guest, along with Christopher DeLisle, her husband.
Yes.
And we're talking Bakersfield sound and songwriting today. And it's been a fantastic interesting conversation so far. Good to get to know you a little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
we're just happy to be here. Thank you for having us. And we've known you for a while, and you're just a great guy. And we like
thank
hanging
you.
out with you.
Yeah, I like hanging out with you too. Yeah.
You're pretty cool, man.
You too, man. Well, man.
Yeah.
So tell us about this new EP. You recorded this live, right?
So how we did it, I would like to say, for starters, I had more fun making this project than anything else.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. We went over to my buddy Pat Laster's studio.
Okay.
And if you're not familiar with Pat, what a great guy for starters, but he's actually known primarily as a bass player. And so he played bass with like the Charlie Daniels Band and Lori Moore. I mean, name
Lori
someone.
Morgan. Yeah.
He's played bass, but he is probably, in my opinion, and I went to audio school and everything, he has an amazing studio and such a talented engineer. And so over the past 10, 15 years, he's actually produced and engineered a lot of country records. Wow. And he's fantastic. So I did part of my first EP, Bakersfield, with him, and I wish I would have found him before. So I came back to him this time, him and I are good friends, and I wanted to work with someone that I was very comfortable with. Mm-hmm. I said, want to be comfortable. Yeah. So we go into Pat's studio, and the whole thing is literally just Chris and I. And literally it's 2 guitars and a vocal. And we just recorded it all there at Pat's studio, and he mixed and engineered it. Wow. And it was so much fun, though, because, we were just talking about how, like, Chris is my Don Rich and I'm the Buck Owens and all that. But it was just so cool to be, like, with a friend, with Pat. And we were just so, like, comfortable and happy, and it was great. And then, it's just Chris and I literally just making music together, just like we're sitting here with you right now at the dining room table. And we also just wanted to really kind of break it down, though. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes I think it's so much fun to do these big elaborate tracks and everything, and there's that's great, and that's a lot of fun.
But to me, there's something about stripping it right down.
Yes, especially as a songwriter, because I'm a firm believer that if you strip it down and I just play you a great song, it doesn't matter how many tracks I got. You know what I mean?
Song is a song.
The song is king. The song is always king.
Absolutely.
So I mean, we took these 3 songs that I've written. I've wrote 2 of the tracks, Family and Play Like Ken, by myself. And then I co-wrote a Cigarette with a wonderful, wonderful, talented songwriter, Kiana Noel-Myers. Okay. But yeah, so we just...
Let's play Family.
Yeah.
You want to say anything about it and the writing of that? And
Well, I wrote that song by myself at my dining room table one night as we're sitting here around a dining room table.
That's right.
I have 4 brothers. I am the only girl. And I love my brothers, but they drive me crazy. And so I got in a fight with one of my brothers one night, and the song just kind of came out of it. So it's kind of like a love letter to my brothers.
Okay. It's called Family. This is Ash Taylor from the new live sessions.
The acoustic sessions.
The acoustic sessions.
Yeah.
There you go. I wanted to get that right. So thanks for correcting me.
Yeah, no problem.
2, 3, 4. Welcome mat, just a sign knowing you can always come back. Yeah, we've got dirty laundry that we may hide, but if these walls could talk, they'd tell you of the love inside. From the slamming doors, mud on the floors, saying goodnight prayers, to the I'm sorry's and you were right, just knowing somebody cares. No, we don't always see the same way, even though we have the same last name, but we're still family. Mama always said, a friend will come and go, but blood is a forever friend. And no one will understand you like I get to, 'cause every part of me is a part of you. From the slamming doors, mud on the floors, saying goodnight prayers, to the I'm sorry's and you were right, just knowing somebody cares. No, we don't always see the same way, even though we have the same last name, but we're still family. Family. From the slamming doors, mud on the floors, saying goodnight prayers, to the I'm sorry's and you were right, just knowing somebody cares. No, we don't always see the same way, even though we have the same last name, but we're still family. Yeah, we'll always be family. Don't mind the dirt on the welcome mat. It's just a sign knowing you can always come back.
There you are, from the new EP, which is called, I'm going to mess it up again, aren't I? Acoustic Sessions.
You got it, man.
All right.
Thumbs up. You did it. You did it. Yeah.
Ash Taylor, Christopher DeLisle. Ash, Chris, I got to tell you, the guitar in that's fantastic, man.
Well, thank you.
That's kind of a demonstration of that Don Rich kind of technique, isn't it?
Well, and it's funny, that particular track, because she was playing that actually before I ever knew her.
Mm-hmm.
And,
really?
Yeah, and so the first time we started working on that one in particular, because she was like, okay, this is a really important song. I want to record this. I want to do all this.
Sure.
And so I listened to what she was doing, and we were talking about this whole new, at that point, concept of like the Don Rich and Buck Owens interactions.
Yeah.
And so I went and listened to what he was doing, and I found those little double stop licks and the things where he's kind of mirroring the melody and all this, and I was like, well, this is a great song to do that with. And so I dropped it in there, and it's been there ever since. It just works really well.
You know what I love about you guys? If you've listened to this podcast at all, you know that I hate genres, and I hate putting people in any kind of a box saying you're country, you're rock.
Yeah.
I always tell folks to make their own style, their own sound, be their own genre. And I think what you guys have done is you have done just that. You combine, rock and that Bakersfield sound and your own special, thing and technique, and you're creating your own sound, aren't you? The Ash sound.
Man, thank you. That, honestly, I think is the biggest compliment I think you could probably pay me.
That's from the heart.
No,
It's true,
I really appreciate that, though, because, I think for a while, and not in any way that I'm complaining about the music industry. I love this industry, and I want to be in it. But, when I moved to town, people told me, you got to write 20,000 songs, and you got to play every show, and you do this, and this is the way that we do it.
Right.
And I showed up, and I don't mind hard work.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's obvious.
I got to write 20,000. We're going to go do it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so, I kind of jumped in with it, and not in any way that I regret any of that, because I think it made me who I am, and I learned a lot, and I grow. But, I think especially after the pandemic, Chris and I just suffered a lot of loss in a lot of different ways. And we just went through a really rough couple of years. And it just made me put a whole, like, I didn't pick up a guitar or sing a note for over a year.
Really?
Really. I mean, I lost so much. I had to stop. And so when I got back into music, because I realized that there is nothing else that I would ever want to do other than make music and write songs and be an artist. Yeah. When I got back into that, I said, you know what? I kind of just don't care what people are telling me I should do. I just want to be me.
Right.
I just want to be the best version of Ash that could possibly exist.
Gosh, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, and that's it. And there's just, there are things that come naturally, like to Chris and I, that it's like, this is what God has me to do. And I could say, well, I wish I was better at this and that, and well, I'm working on it. But the point is like, we're just really just kind of here to make music and have a good time, and just to be ourselves and to be the best version of ourselves that we can
agree
be.
with that,
and
100%.
I just kind of don't care what's happening around in the world around me. I'm just here. So I take that as a huge compliment.
That's life. That's what's all. And I don't say that to be negative, on the industry. I say it because I think it's up to people that market and sell.
Sure.
They're the ones that are going to put a label on you.
Yes.
know? And I know there are artists that have fought against that.
Sure.
But I think especially when you're starting out and you're becoming an artist, your own artist,
yes,
you've got to find yourself.
Absolutely. And I moved to town to be a songwriter.
Did you?
Absolutely, yeah.
That was the first thing in mind, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I never really had sung or done any of that. I fresh out of high school, I played a couple of instruments. I picked up a guitar when I was 17.
17?
So I was a late starter, but I actually went to school for like audio engineering and stuff. And
Did you?
I worked in studios and stuff, and then realized it just wasn't creative enough. And so then I got heavy into songwriting, and I would sit in my bedroom and write horrible songs. But I was writing songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I really enjoy this. And I would watch CMT and see the ticker at the
I
bottom.
always did too. Who wrote that? Yeah.
I'm like, who's this Tim Nichols guy? Because this is awesome. So, man, I would study and stalk songwriters, and I get the CDs, and I read the liners notes. So, yeah, when I moved to town, I moved here to be a writer. And it wasn't until after being here for about a year or so that people were like, no, you're an artist. And so I think it's like, for me, a learning thing. But I think it's hard sometimes to find yourself in that way.
I do too.
Right? It's a hard thing. It's not, there's no textbook way of doing it. So I'm just happy that we kind of have stumbled across what we have, and, excited to see it keep growing and doing our thing. And we're just having a great time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm also very, I'm gonna, since she bragged on me, I'm gonna brag on her.
Oh, no.
Yes. No, as the, not just the lead guitar player and band leader, but as the husband, right? I get to see all of the stuff behind the scenes that it takes to do what it is that she does. And
hard work.
I saw all of the things that she used to be when I first met her, and pictures of what she was even before I met her. And then I saw as she's changed and as she's grown into the artist that she is. And, people don't see the things like the vocal lessons and the vocal exercises and us sitting on the couch and working on the guitar technique that she works on, and the hours of songwriting, and then the marketing that she does, and she runs all of her own social media.
That's
and she
a lot to do.
She designs and runs her own website, and it's like, I mean, she has such a strong understanding of now of who she is and what makes her special.
That's awesome.
And it's super cool. And truthfully, like, I feel very fortunate to be able to be a part of that, because I sort of sit here and I get to feel like I'm seeing something that's going to impact a lot of people in the music industry happening in front of my eyes.
That's awesome.
And I get to sit there and just be proud of my wife for doing it.
That is so cool.
gosh, now I'm going to cry.
I know,
Jeez. Oh, wow.
right?
Thank you.
We got Kleenex over here.
Thank
if you
you.
need.
I went about to grab a Kleenex.
It's allergies, right? We were talking.
Yeah, we were talking. It's all allergies.
So it's
all
allergies. Yeah. So what is your website? Where do we find out more about you?
It is ashtaylor.com.
ashtaylor.com.
That's it.
You did a brilliant thing, the Ash Wednesdays. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Talk about that a little bit. It's really cool. What a cool idea, right?
Thank you so much. I thought about that one day, and I got so excited. You wouldn't believe it. But no, like I said, I took about a year or so off of music, and when I came back to it, I just felt like I was starting over. And I had a lot of fans, though, that I had built over the course of my time that still stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I appreciated the hell out of them. And so I was thinking, I was like, what can I do to connect with those people, and maybe bring in some new friends and some new fans, and kind of just do something for people that have supported me. And I thought, well, let's do a live stream. There's not a lot of live shows happening at that time, so I do a live stream the first Wednesday of every single month called Ash Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, so we've been doing it over on my Instagram. It's at 7 p.m. Central Standard. I'm really excited though. So starting this next month, so the June Ash Wednesday, we're actually going to move it over to Facebook.
Oh, good.
And so, we think we're going to have a little bit bigger of an audience on there, but we have a blast. Chris and I literally go up to our studio. Usually I'm like, in a messy bun and a sweatshirt. We're sitting there with our guitars. We're telling jokes. We're talking about what we got going on, and, letting fans know about like shows coming up in case they want to come. And people can ask us questions. We also do a giveaway every single month. So every episode we do a giveaway. My dog usually will make an appearance, and, people live for that. But we just sit and we joke and we have a good time, and, we play songs, and we just have a blast.
That's awesome.
But once a month we do it, and have a good time with it.
I just want to say, this is scheduled to publish July the 5th. So that's the first Wednesday of July.
Yes.
So you'll be on tonight.
So I will be on tonight on my Facebook.
On your Facebook.
Ash Taylor Music. You can find links to it at ashtaylor.com. But yeah, come join the live stream. But
very cool.
We have so much fun, man. It's just a blast.
I bet.
We try to keep it real casual and just real fun.
I'll
And
catch it.
people seem to enjoy it. So.
You also have a video coming out here by the end of the week on the 7th, July 7th, right?
I do. We're actually going to be releasing for that one. It would be the music video for Family.
One that we just heard.
Yes, yeah. So Chris and I went into Hilson Studios here in Nashville, and we actually also did some video work. So each song off of the brand new EP, the acoustic sessions, will also have a video coming out.
Okay.
So if people go to my website, they can sign up for updates on there.
Oh, nice.
We also have a fan club that are always the first to know and the first to see everything.
They joined it, yeah.
Yeah, they're called the Bad Ashes.
I love that too.
Yeah, so the Bad Ashes.
Brilliant marketing.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Ash Wednesday and the Bad Ashes. I love it.
Thanks, man. I like to laugh. So I thought of these ideas and I said, that's fun. We're going to go with that,
That's so cool.
But the Bad Ashes, they can go to my website, ashtaylor.com. You get to sign up and they get all the special perks ahead of time. So
very, very cool. Yeah. Well, how about another song?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would you like Play Like Ken? I know you.
I would love Play Like Ken.
All right.
Yeah. Can we do that one?
We can do that for you. Anything you want, man.
You talk about Bad Ash. Here we go.
Oh, man. Well, I was going to say, I know I've been kind enough to play at 12 keys. You've let me play for
Gonna
y'all
have to
a
have
couple.
you back real soon.
Yeah, well, we always are down. But I wrote the song Play Like Ken because a guy one day basically told me that I played guitar like a man after a show. And I said, I kind of chuckled and laughed. And I was like, what? But he meant it as a total compliment. He was an absolute sweetheart. And he said, he was just dull. But I said, well, brother, hell, I don't know what to tell you. I guess I just look like Barbie and play like Ken. And I said, well, there's a song. So
that's a song,
there's
baby.
There's a song, man. So I wrote the song.
But they tell me I played like Chet.
Oh,
no, wait, it wasn't Chet. It was Chet. Sorry.
That was a great joke, and I'm stealing that.
That's an old joke. I think Jerry...
Is it really old? Because I've never heard it. It's awesome.
The Georgia Quacker wrote that. George Smith. He wrote that song.
Oh, man.
I steal it every now and then. So Ash Taylor, looks like Barbie, plays
Play like Ken.
Love it.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. When I was a kid, didn't really fit in while the other girls played with their Barbie dolls. I was busy jamming on my flat top, saying only boys can play guitar and girls shouldn't look pretty like a movie star. Well, I don't mind pink, but my mama told me I could be anything I wanted to be. Said when I grow up, I'll show them. Gonna look like Barbie, play like Ken. Lead me to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand. Got my lipstick on, let my hair down. I'm cranking it up to 10. Gonna look like Barbie, play like Ken. Well, I made it down to Music Row, just doing my thing and selling out shows. Some say girls can't top the charts, but I just smile and say, well, bless their heart. You know I'll prove them wrong and put them in a song, and I won't stop till the world sings along, cause I look like Barbie, play like Ken. Hey, lead me to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand. Got my lipstick on, let my hair down. I'm cranking it up to 10. Gonna look like Barbie, play like Chris. Now just cause my guitar is made out of bling doesn't mean I can't be mean. Just watch me bend these strings. I'll lead you to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand. Got my lipstick on, let my hair down. I'm cranking it up to 10. Gonna look like Barbie, yeah. Lead me to the stage, fire up the band, gonna rock this town with this guitar in my hand. Got my lipstick on, let my hair down. I'm cranking it up to 10. Gonna look like Barbie,
great.
my friend.
That is a hit right there.
Thank you so much.
You're going to release that as a single. You better.
Would you like to know an interesting story about that
I would
song?
love to know an interesting story about that.
I wrote that not too long after I moved to Nashville, and I wrote it by myself. And like I said, this guy said this, and it just gave me the idea. I wrote it while driving home that night from the gig, and through a series of many different events, I ended up being able to pitch that song to an artist named Miranda Lambert.
Oh, I heard of her.
Yeah, I think we all know
got a bar
her.
down there in
I
Lower
could be
Broadway,
wrong.
didn't you?
Yeah, I'm going there like in a couple weeks because
okay.
I hear it's delicious Tex-Mex, and I said, "Giddy up!"
Ooh, it sounds good.
But yeah, so Miranda Lambert had that song on like a hold.
Did she?
For over a year.
I could hear her doing that.
Oh man, I think she would
kill it.
Well, she's just so sassy and everything. But I was really new, and I got really lucky and I'm grateful for the opportunity. But she had that song on hold for a year, and so it was kind of like a thing. You can't play it out. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I kind of waited, but I thought, man, this songwriting thing's really easy. Like this is really. I don't know why everyone says it's so hard, but she. The next album though that came out after that, if you're a Miranda Lambert fan, was the Weight of These Wings, which was a breakup record after Blake Shelton. So she passed on it. She finally gave it back to me, and so I've played it at shows for a long time, and that's why though I wanted to go ahead and put it on this acoustic record. And so I think just playing it acoustic it's fun, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure eventually that will definitely be a single, and it's really cool to see. Females and young girls, especially when you sing that song, it's cool, man. Like you can just see them light up, and they're like, it's just
rock and
cool.
roll.
Yeah, but so it's been a fun song. But if I ever see that guy that gave me the idea for it, I feel like I may owe him some money. So hopefully he's not listening. Yeah.
Buy him breakfast at Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly. Give him a free merch shirt or something, But yeah.
It is a beautiful guitar you have at Gibson.
Thank you so much.
That is just gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's kind of a dark red burgundy.
They call it wine red.
Wine red.
So this is a Gibson J200 standard.
Big full body, right?
Oh, big jumbo. I have wanted a Gibson J200 since before I could play guitar.
It's beautiful.
And thank you, man. I name all my guitars.
Oh, good. Me too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
What's like your main guitar? Like,
well, my main guitar is Martin. And
okay.
Martin's a Martin.
Okay.
And then this Taylor over here is Taylor.
Okay.
I got a Rain song that we call Raina.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's not real clever, but
I named this because I'm a huge Judd's fan.
Oh, okay.
Huge Judd, and I finally
The
got
red
to
hair?
go. Oh yeah. Well, it's a big red guitar. Winona Judd plays jumbo, so I named this guitar Winona.
Oh, I love
I got
it.
it the same year I got to go see my hero play. So I said, you know what, it's just meant to be. But yeah,
it is meant to be.
Thanks, man. But yeah,
Cool story.
I,
nice to meet you, Winona.
Yeah, old Winona.
Man, she's gorgeous.
Thanks, man. We've had her a couple months. We already got dings and scratches in her, but you know what? I love this guitar. Chris can tell you, I basically don't play anything else now.
Yes.
You know, Emmylou Harris.
That's what she played. Yeah.
Yes,
blonde version, but
the blonde version. Yes, she has this great quote though for all my, for friends listening that are big into guitars. And when I heard this quote, I was like, I don't know, but now I can attest to it. She has always said that the reason why she plays a J200 is she says that it is a disservice to you and your audience if you do not have one. And
really?
Yes.
I guess I got to find me one.
Yes. Well, she said that, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, there's thousands of great guitars."
Yeah.
And now that I own one, I go,
"You agree?"
I understand what she's talking about. There's something about the big body and the way it sounds, and plugged in. Even I feel like I perform better with it. So
I borrow it every now and then.
Yeah.
Since we live so close.
Yeah.
We find out we're neighbors. That's
yeah,
really
we're like
cool.
literally just a few minutes from each other.
So we'll have to write.
Yeah, we should write.
Absolutely.
And then if you need to borrow a cup of sugar, you can come over.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we're
Same
literally down
here.
the street. Yeah, absolutely.
I do make a pizza.
Oh, I like
pretty
pizza.
good pizza.
There we go.
I
I don't cook anything, which is why God bless
Not even
me with
La
my head.
Toast?
Oh, no.
No?
But you know what I do? The dishes.
That's my job too.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You just go in there.
Yeah.
Clean away.
Sometimes I write while I'm doing the dishes.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, I could do that.
I like to clean the house. It makes me feel organized and it gets my brain thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can sit there, do the dishes and ponder, and you're like, oh, that would be a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a great
Get
melody.
good ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
totally
talked
get
about
that.
writing on the way home from a gig one night.
Man, yeah,
I like to write in the car too.
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking.
well,
about it.
especially
Yeah.
long drives, you know, and late at night. I've had a lot of song ideas come out of literally just sitting in the car. I don't know what it is about the car in me, but
Yeah, it's just that wind, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but you're right.
It seems to be a
Yeah.
common theme among songwriters because I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I
in
write
the
in the car, talk to a whole bunch of other songwriters who all like to write in the car.
Yeah.
It's just something about the open road.
I also like to. This is going to sound weird, but in the shower,
Yeah.
lines and stuff will come to me.
Some of my
No.
best melodies
And I'll
and
go,
guitar parts
"Whoa."
come in the shower.
yeah.
Do they really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Isn't
no,
that
no.
amazing? It's a creative area.
It is.
You know?
I wonder too, I could be totally wrong because I was talking to someone about this not too long ago. I'm wondering if like when you're in the car or you're in the shower, it's almost like you're kind of like comfortable and you're in a small little safe place. If
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Does make
Because
sense.
we were like, why is that? Why does everyone have all these song ideas that come in the shower or like you're sitting in the car and it's like, what is it? And it's like, it's that small little space.
That's small. I think you're right. And you add that ambient sound of the water
Yes.
coming down or the wind of the tires on the road.
Yes.
I think all of that gets you in that creative.
It does, because it's almost also peaceful. Though it's not like you really have to listen and focus on those sounds, but those sounds are also very rhythmic,
Yeah.
and it gets your brain.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had this whole discussion about it because we were trying to figure it out, and I'm like, I bet that's what it is right there.
Oh, you're probably right.
So
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Maybe all writers' rooms here in Nashville should become like showers or inside of cars. Maybe that will help even
We're
better
onto
songs.
something new.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up my own writer's room now in downtown, and
The writer's car.
the writer's car
shower.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
There
All the
we
great
go.
ideas. All the great ideas.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming all this way,
Yes.
miles and miles,
All the
Maybe
couple
even
minutes.
two.
Yeah.
to be on our show. It's so good to get to know you a little bit better.
Yes, likewise.
I love your sound and what you do. And Chris, thank you so much, too, for joining.
Oh, thank
and,
you.
just been a wonderful, delightful time.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. It
We're
was a
going to see
blast.
you around, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.